So my name is Marisol Ocampo. I am the Training and Capacity Development Manager at the Praxis project. For us, it's not just a regular conference. For us, this is a family gathering. All the organizations that come here are family. And most of them are already engaged in different Praxis projects. So for us, it's like getting your family together. We have one-on-ones, we have regional meetings throughout the years. This is the big family reunion.
I'm Julian Terrell. I'm the lead organizer at the Brotherhood Sister Soul, located in Harlem. It's just the politics that we hear in the media. What you often don't hear is you don't get a chance to see any of the faces who are actually dealing with the problems. You don't get a chance to hear directly from anybody who's really doing this work. You know, that's what we really want for our young people, to really be able to see the people face to face that they're building this movement with.
My name is Chris Buford. I am the field organizing manager with the Praxis project. What we try to create at Roots and Remedies is an opportunity for all of these different sectors to come together. So we try to bring the indigenous community together and talk about their issues and how police brutality in the prison industrial complex is playing out on reservations and in indigenous communities. We're bringing folks who are organizing around access to healthy food, bringing those folks into the room to really be able to tie all of these things together. When we talk about Black Lives Matters, it's not just about the police killings, but it's also about the lack of investment into our communities and education, the fact that so many of our communities don't have fresh fruits and vegetables, don't have a grocery store within a 5-mile radius that they can go to. Gil Scott-Heron said the revolution will not be televised. But it is being televised, and it's being televised by the people. Mainstream media might not want to pick the stories up, might not want to talk about it, but now we can tell our own stories. And that's exciting. That's exciting.
My name is Roxanne. I'm with an organization in New Orleans called Rethink New Orleans. And right now we're at Roots and Remedy, and we're on a tour of the west side of Chicago looking at the impacts of gentrification. We just finished visiting with one community organization, Blocks Together, and they talked about the work that they're doing with parents and young people to help end the gentrification, the privatization of schools and the push out of young people and the stopping of them getting quality public education. We're on our way now to go to the Chicago Anti-Eviction Campaign, and I'm super excited to see what we learn there.
I'm Zakia Sankara Jabbar. I'm the director and co-founder of my own organization called Racial Justice Now. This experience on this particular tour has really given me a lot more insight, a lot more meat, a lot more understanding to the intricacies of displacement and ethnic cleansing. I mean, displacing entire communities who've been living there 40, 50 years or longer.
The ways in which Chicago is going to change, and the ways in which Chicago civil society, the grassroots folks are really educating themselves, preparing themselves to be able to gear up to stop the influx of their communities being taken over by corporate interests, their schools being taken over by corporate interests. It's really, really an exciting place to be. It's a place for us to come together from all over the country to strategize, to change things, to build together.
So my name is Rodrigo Rodriguez. I'm a community organizer at the Southwest Organizing Project in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So today we're on a tour in Little Village, south side of Chicago, looking at doing a toxics tour with the Little Village Environmental Justice Organization. We visited their community garden, which sits on a brown site.
The balance was way off on the amount of residents here in Little Village and the amount of green space available. And so they're working on shifting that, making our way to a park right now. It looks like a little more green space for the kids.
We are looking at Cook County Jail in the background back there. We're kind of looking at public spaces and, in cities, especially in Black and brown communities in the cities, we see this constant encroachment of industry, of things like these giant jails that we're seeing, things like Cook County Jail, where they kind of build and expand and continually expand and encroach on our communities.
A highlight for me is really being able to talk to people that live in the community and talk about the strengths and the challenges of the community. Like that, I feel like extremely privileged to be able to get that kind of tour of the Chicago.
Sure. So my name is Mohammed Sankari. I'm one of the co-lead youth organizers at the Arab American Action Network. Our workshop was about the connections between the national security state and mass policing. We had our participants looking at the story of a young person's life in Chicago that's entrapped by the FBI under the national security state. The groups then looked at the story. They talked about where they thought this young person's life would end based on that story, and they all came to the conclusion that he would end up in prison, which did actually end up that way in reality. So we spoke extensively about what the legislation looks like, what it means to have true civilian oversight and civilian control, a democratization of the police force in this city, and what that would look like materially for the people of Chicago.
So when we heard about Roots and Remedies, it was just like, you know what, there's going to be other youth organizations in the space who are doing similar work, so that gives us an opportunity, you know, really to put some teeth to what actually movement building is. You know, a lot of times people use very important words, and we feel that we don't always really get space to really talk about what does that actually mean? What does building a movement actually mean?
Hi, my name is Manny Yusuf, and I'm from Drum. They see Rising Up and Moving. So we were at the workshop called Culture is a Weapon. One thing I really got from this workshop was just a question that he proposed was just like, how do you fight for liberation when you don't have a community? If you don't have a community, that like organizing is like a hard job.
My name is Tavon Bridges from YY Youth Organizing Institute. Today's workshop, Culture is a Weapon, was just like very grounding for me. Like it just like reminded me like culture is like the blood in our veins and like the interchanging thing that we're like our culture we're making now and the culture that we've taken and passed down from our ancestors. So it's just a very grounding workshop.
You know, like nobody wants to be a part of a stale movement, you know, and there's so many folks now who are coming into their power in so many different ways. And I'm just happy that my young folks who, you know, one of them she's never even been on a plane before. You know what I'm saying? So for this to be her first experience, I'm just happy that I've had an opportunity to be a part of that, and that the folks at the Praxis Project and the host organizations here created that opportunity for us.
Man, I really encourage folks to join us in this movement building activity called Roots and Remedies. Tweet us, Facebook us, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Let us know, hey, bring Roots and Remedies to our city, and this is why. We would love to hear from the people, because that's who guides our work, the people, the folks on the ground doing the work.